Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're trying out a new camera, so let me know in the feedback what you think. It's going to be a little bit choppy, can't really help it, so that's the one downside I see of it, but let's get started. Today we're talking about writing equations in slope-intercept form, so we need to remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So when we look at that, we've got to be able to go from this graph to that equation, or this graph to that equation. So what we need to remember is we're going to keep y as y. So every time we can go ahead and actually just start writing that y equals, and then I'm going to worry about what m is, or my slope. Only because it's the next item in the equation. You can do m or b. I start with m. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for 2 points that are easily recognizable. So here's one, and here's one. And I'm going to try and figure out how to go from one to the other. So I have to go down 1, 2, 3 here. So that's down 3 times. And then I have to go 1, 2, over 2. So I have a slope of -3 over +2. And then I just put my x. That's just part of my formula. I do my plus, and then I have to figure out b. Well, the good news is I've already marked b. Because what I got to remember is b is where my graph and my y-intersect meet. It's right here. So b equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know it's a little bit hard to read with the markers, but that is the number 5. You can even just count over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and see we're at the same height. So b is equal to 5 on the y-axis. So that means my 5 is going to go here. Now what I've got to do is simplify. I don't like a positive sign in my answer, so I'm just going to recopy my y equals, and then I'm going to go ahead and keep that negative, but it's a negative divided by a positive. That's going to make me a negative, so it goes to my fraction. 3, and then 2x plus, now that 5 doesn't need to change, and I'm done. I've got my equation, y equals mx plus b. Let's look at the other one. What we've got over here, again, we're trying to get y equals something x plus whatever our b is. So again, I'm going to start with 2 points that I recognize, and I see one here that I can easily tell where it is, and the next one's right here. So to go from one to the other, I can go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So that's up 5, and 1, 2, 3, and then right 3. So that means I'm getting a plus 5 and a plus 3. Now I look for my y-intercept, so I go down my y and I figure out where my graph is going to cross it, and I find out again, I've already marked it, it's right here, it's down at 1, 2, 3, or -3. So I'm going to put -3 here, because I'm trying to match an equation here and figure out what everything is. Now if I wanted to, I could also label this just off to the side to remind myself, but I was using the graph, so I didn't really need to. But I could have put m equals -3 over +2, like this. I could have done b equals 5 like this, and then just substitute it in. Or I can go straight from the graph and just fill in the equation as I go. They're both the same thing. This is just a little quicker because you don't have to write as much. So then I'm going to go through and I'm going to simplify my equation, y equals, then I'll get a positive divided by a positive. That's a positive, so it's just 5 over 3. Got to put my x back in there, plus, well, made a mistake there. Shouldn't have been plus. The reason is this is a positive times a negative. At least we treat it that way. So a positive times a negative is -3. Let me rewrite it so it just looks nice, doesn't have anything marked through. Y equals, trying to keep that color coordination going, 5/3 x, and then -3, and I'm done. Now what we can do to check our answer got a little note over here. After writing an equation, check that the given points are solutions of the equation. Now, it says points like plural, and you should be able to do that. Just take the points we know. Like we know this is positive 3 and positive 2. So this point is just that, 3 comma 2. And we know that this point is 0, negative 3. What I tend to do is just this guy. We already know this point because this is negative 3 and x is always 0 on the y-axis. So what that looks like is I can take this negative 3 here and plug it in for y. Negative 3 equals 0 x and then minus 3. And then I'm going to solve this to make sure, and hopefully you see kind of the shortcut as to why I like picking this one as well. This is always going to be 0. So really I get negative 3 equals negative 3. That's a true statement, so I know I'm correct here. And over here I can do the same thing. I just sit here and take the y-intercept where x is always going to be 0. And I got down to positive 2. Sorry, I was going down from here, but there's the origin. So there's my coordinate at my, oh, why did I do that one? Trying to talk and think at the same time too early in the morning. There we go. All right, so now I plug that in. What I'm going to be able to see if I do my shortcut right is this is always going to be 0 if I use this point. So I get 5 equals 5, and that's a true statement, so I know I'm correct. So here's how we do it all out on paper. If we realize the shortcut, 0x is always going to be 0, so we're basically just left with whatever b is, so I know it's 5, and I know y was 5 here. I got a correct answer. I'm good to go. I can move on. If you have any questions, make sure to email those to me tonight so it can help me prepare for tomorrow's lesson, and we'll see you in class.